Welcome to Conversations With. Conversations With is produced by the Africa Grantmakers Affinity Group, working to promote robust, effective, and responsive philanthropy and to build a network of informed, engaged, and connected funders. Visit the africagrantmakers.org website to join our mailing list.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Niamani Mutima, Executive Director of the Africa Grantmakers Affinity Group, and welcome to Conversations With. Thank you for joining us. And I'm pleased to welcome Seth Mulli, who's the Executive Director of the Youth Bridge Trust based in Johannesburg. Welcome, Seth.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Seth, why don't we start off with a short overview of the Youth Bridge Trust, what it is, why it was formed, and what it does.
Excellent. Youth Bridge Trust was founded in 2017 with the main focus being on developing Africa's greatest potential, which is its youth, its young people. Our vision is really to build Africa's future, and the mission and how we carry that out is by equipping young people on the continent with future of work skills. And we believe if we equip them with the skills of the future, it will really shift Africa to a prosperous future. Our strategy is focused on three pillars. The first one is funding entities or organizations in Southern Africa, and as we grow into the rest of Africa, that are implementing future of work programs. So programs that equip young people with either future soft skills or hard technical skills. And then once we fund this institution, we build their capacity. So we do capacity building of the organization such that once we've exited the grant period, the organization is in a much better place. And then what we decided to do as the third arm of the strategy, we, in partnership with Google for Nonprofits, created a digital platform to map out youth organizations on the continent so that we could really get a sense of who are the role players, but also to educate the broader youth development sector on best practices, educational content, thought leadership, but also for allow them to collaborate with one another. So today we have about 2,800 organizations registered on the platform, and they access content, research, and it also allows us to build a pipeline of potential grantees. We also play the role of being an intermediary to larger foundations that are looking to work on youth development on the continent and are looking for a partner to assist with due diligence and the implementation of particular programs. So in a nutshell, that's who we are as an organization.
So your reach is quite extensive throughout the continent. How many countries are you reaching?
We're working in South Africa and Namibia. We are about to work in Rwanda in 2020. We were meant to move in, but because of COVID, we decided just to take a bit of a break and launching other programs within South Africa with different government partners, which we'll discuss later in this conversation.
Before we talk about your grant making, I want to talk a little bit more about the partnerships that you're building. Can you talk a little bit about your partnerships?
So we've developed some really great partners. I'll start in South Africa. We've partnered with the National Youth Development Agency, which is the body within the South African government that focuses on youth development issues. So they're one of our program partners, particularly around funding enterprise development, particularly in the youth space. And then we've also partnered with the Department of Small Business Development here in South Africa. And that, again, is part of a broader partnership when it comes to enterprise development or small business development, particularly in the youth space. Instead of pushing young people to become employed or further their education, we have almost three pathways of success. And one of those pathways is to become an entrepreneur. So in building partnerships with local government bodies, that allows us to really help young people getting plugged into the government initiatives that are at play in South Africa, but also help them access further funding that we wouldn't be able to give them. So in South Africa, the National Youth Development Agency, Department of Small Business Development, the Industrial Corporation known as the IDC, we have a whole plethora of government partners. And then broader outside of South Africa, we've partnered with GIZ, the Development Institution of Germany, particularly around digital skills training. around a particular platform that they've developed, and we partnered with them in rolling it out in South Africa and Namibia. And yeah, just off the top of my head, there's a long list. I think to date we've been able to build a partnership base of about 20 different partners in different spheres of influence, particularly when it comes to youth development. Most recently, we partnered with the African Union in developing the African Youth Economic Forum, a continental-wide platform to really bring together role players and decision makers when it comes to youth policy implementation. We realized that if we really wanted to push the needle when it came to youth employment, education, and entrepreneurship, we needed to play at a policy level. So in partnership with the African Union and the African Peer Review Mechanism, we set up the African Youth Economic Forum this year, launched it as a continental-wide platform where we had over 1,000 participants from 45 different countries, all discussing issues that pertained to the development of the continent as it relates to young people that are working on youth development issues.
So you have really developed a very diverse partnership with organizations working in different sectors and at many different levels.
Absolutely.
That is quite impressive. So you're also a grant-making organization. So tell us a little bit about how your grant-making process works, the types of things you fund, and the types of organizations you support. And also, do you support just organizations, or do you also support individuals?
Sure. So as most grant makers do, we issue out a call for proposal for particular programs. So when we talk about the future of work, we're looking at particular areas of development. So in the future of work, there are certain skill categories that we're looking at. One is entrepreneurship. So we look at organizations that are either developing entrepreneurs at a young age, from the ages of 15 to 25, or supporting the entrepreneur. The entrepreneurs already started their business and they need more capacity development support. Then we look at organizations that are working on very skills-based programming, either soft skills, maybe tangible skills like plumbing, so artisan skills training. So we look at organizations in that space. We haven't funded anyone in that space as yet. We've primarily funded organizations that are working on a youth employment program that focused on soft skills and a lot more technical skills. Most recently, we partnered with the Department of Environmental Affairs here in South Africa to work on a green economy program to help capacitate green economy organizations that focus on upskilling young people with green skills, but also introducing them to green opportunities from waste to transportation. So there we're focusing very much on green NPO organizations or community-based organizations. So it really depends on the partner that we go into an agreement with or an initiative with, but it has to fit within our skill categories of the future of work. And then digital skills is obviously a big one. We're working on some partnerships with Microsoft to launch a couple of programs in South Africa that focus very much so on digital skills training, particularly in the entry-level market, to help young people who are unemployed just get the basic skills that help them attain some form of employment in the digital ecosystem. So yeah, I think that's the rationale when it comes to our grant making period. It's sector specific, but we also work with a partner to ensure that together we're collaborating on the same agenda.
Let's talk a little bit about, in terms of your grant making, what's the sort of range of support?
Sure. So as I mentioned, it's really dependent on the partner. So government support this program, the funding requirement was from $20,000 to about $50,000. We've worked with the Ford Foundation. Their grant size was a lot larger. It was from about $50,000 to $100,000. And there we played an intermediary role. We became a sub-grantor of that particular fund. So it's really dependent on the partner that we achieve the program with. And some partners, we provide half of the budget, and then the other partner provides the other part of the budget. So in South Africa, the Department of Social Development, we went on a joint agreement where we said we would pay 50% of the total project expense, and they would put the other percentage to the table. And they agreed to that, and we're just about to launch that program in 4 different geographic regions within South Africa. And the idea then is, once we've done the pilot, is to scale it across South Africa and then later across the continent. There we're focusing very much on digital skills training. Again, always aiming towards what is this new way of work. I don't want to call it the future of work because we're sitting in it right now, but it is the way of work.
You talked about your partnerships having an influence on the type of programs that you're doing. Since your programs are influenced by your partners, do you find that the programs that you're doing reflect the priorities of young people in these communities?
Great question. So I think yes and no. I'll give an example. Department of Social Development, we came to them and told them, hey, we see that these areas that you're working in, rural areas, don't have this particular program. And we've noted that there is a shift in training requirements or skills-based requirements for this future of work. Would you be interested in partnering with us in implementing such programs? So they came back to us and said, look, these are the type of programs we're already implementing, but we do see a need in digital skills or entrepreneurship training. Let us find you the implementing agents, so partner organizations. So what we've decided to do is, when we work with a particular government institution or a local community-based organization, is we don't prescribe to them that they should do it. We almost showcase, here's an opportunity. Have you thought about it? How can we support you in implementing it? And how can we support you with what you're already doing? So I think there is sometimes where we feel as though there's a bit of community pushback. They were so used to sewing. Why are you taking sewing out and bringing in computer training? And so there's almost an educational element of helping them understand that sewing is becoming slowly outdated in some areas. Here are future of work skills that will really push you forward in your career. So I think in some settings, we've had to do a little bit of educational training, almost like community engagement, to understand where they're coming from and kind of meet halfway. I know with the Department of Social Development, those conversations had already been happening. And I think it was mandated by the president to focus on, some of these skills-focused training. So I think there's a growth area for us there to engage more on engagement from the young person. But sometimes the young person doesn't really know what's good for them. And I say this as a young person. And sometimes you need to give them research. You need to give them best practice. You need to help them understand the bigger picture of what's available. Yeah, so I think there are elements where we can grow in terms of community engagement, in hearing the voices of the young people. And in some areas, the young people are putting pressure on the organizations to tell them, we need YouthBridge Trust to do what they were doing.
Are there other organizations, entities similar to YouthBridge Trust in South Africa, or are you the only one?
I would say there are a lot of youth development, youth-focused organizations in South Africa. What makes us different as compared to Harambee, which is probably the largest youth-focused organization in Southern Africa right now. And they have a very good partnership model. And they've been around, I think this is their 15th year. I think the difference that we have is that we play two roles. We're an intermediary. So for larger organizations or foundations that want to work on youth development but don't know where to start, we offer that service to them. Second thing, we're an aggregator. Like I mentioned, over 2,800 organizations on our platform, our digital platform. So we know who's working on youth development in Africa. We know their geographical location. We're starting to get some of the impact reports so we can gather that data. So I think what makes us different is those two things. We're an intermediary between large donors, government sector organizations, like now we're working with different departments within South Africa and slowly growing to other departments outside of South Africa on the continent. The second thing is that we bring together the local NGOs on the ground that are actually doing the work. And then we do that due diligence ahead of time so that when a partner or a partner government entity or a donor partner that says, Seth, I want to focus on women in agriculture, I can tell them in 10 countries I have partners available that we can immediately start working on these issues. I also think the third thing is that we provide constant knowledge to the youth development sector. So we partnered with the Wits University of Witwatersrand here in South Africa. It's probably top 5 university. And we publish research content on a quarterly basis, almost like the state of youth development in Africa, the state of youth entrepreneurship. We just published the state of youth after COVID-19 when it comes to entrepreneurship and employability. So we are providing thought leadership and knowledge that helps make better programming, helps the donor or the funder or the corporate organization or the government organization understand what's really happening on the ground. So I think those are the 3 things that makes us different. And I also think we are open to very innovative and new ideas. The structures that I've noted in South Africa, a lot of the organizations, because they were started 15 to 20 years ago, they have a very fixed mindset. And it's not to say that's a wrong thing, but I think we're a little bit more agile and innovative in our approach to development work on the continent, particularly in employability, entrepreneurship, and helping young people further their education.
How do you make the research that you mentioned available, particularly to the funding community?
Sure. So on our knowledge platform, partners can sign up. Then you have access to research and the content that we have. So it's for individuals that are part of our knowledge platform. So we don't freely share it. We really want to build our community around the knowledge platform. So you can sign up and get access to the knowledge platform. And then there you'll find all of our research. But primarily, we really like to cultivate this community of, we call them change makers in Africa. And if you're a change maker, whether you're an organization that's implementing a program, whether you're an organization that is funding or wanting to fund organization, whether you're a social enterprise, this community that we've developed of 2,800 organizations and participants, it's almost like a community of practice that we want to build and educate and help them collaborate with one another.
So in order to have access, you have to be engaged.
Absolutely.
This is just a very good model. How do you see the impact of COVID-19 influencing how you go forward in the future in terms of preparing people for the future of work?
I think COVID-19 did 2 things. It accelerated our vision around the future of work. I think if I look back at our strategy, some of the things we wanted to do were 3 to 4 years out, but we have had to focus on doing them now. So I think the good thing is it's accelerated our way of thinking around online training for young people and funding institutions that are focused primarily on helping young people be equipped through digital vehicles. And yes, there's a whole discussion around access to data, access to laptops. And I think more work needs to be done around those issues. And it's a conversation we're having as an organization. But I think COVID-19 really expedited our strategy. The second thing it did, it alerted us to the reality of youth unemployment. In South Africa, a stat came out that 65 to 68% of youth in the country are unemployed. That brings it about 4 million to 5 million young people are sitting at home today with no employment. If you look at the continent, it's at 67%. Now, you could see it as a ticking time bomb or as an opportunity that can be utilized to really push Africa to a prosperous future. And that's, I think, where we sit as an organization to say, the issue is so big, we can't do it alone. And that's why we have so many partners. Our goal is to have more partners involved with our work than ever before, because we need to collaborate. It's no longer an opportunity that can be, or a challenge that can be absorbed by one organization. It has to be a multi-sector approach. In terms of organizations, I think the reality of them relying on one donor and that one donor exiting was a harsh reality for some. Some organizations were able to, build capital reserves from other organizations. So I think we really need to think at sustainability of NGOs. How do we capacitate them to become more sustainable? That they don't rely on grant funding, that they have some form of income generating arm that helps cover expenses and operational costs. And it's something we really need to, as grant makers, really put our minds together to look at social enterprise models that can help attract diversified types of funding for organizations and community-based organizations, such that they're not reliant purely on donor funding, but on a quasi model of support, income generation, assets, different opportunities that they can kind of look into. So yeah, I think those are the harsh realities, but obviously there's some good things that have come out outside of COVID-19. And so we haven't exited COVID. It's almost like we've continued, and this is year 2. So we've had to rethink our model as an organization. How do we want to operate going into the future? So yeah.
If you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to leave with us.
I think we need more people participating, more organizations, more donors participating in Africa, and to come with an open mind at new opportunities, and to not see Africa as, I'm pretty sure that the community here doesn't see Africa as a lost cause, but as a continent on the frontier of greatness. And how can we capacitate the future leaders who are young people to execute and lead Africa to a prosperous future? So my comments are to challenge those that are listening to this to play an active role in being part of the change that Africa is going through right now, whether through resource mobilization, utilizing your funds, but also just collaboration. I always say that collaboration brings more opportunities than sometimes funding does, because collaboration allows you to open up opportunities that never existed before. So I would always challenge, beyond funding, how can you collaborate with other organizations doing meaningful work on the continent? Thank you.
Well, Seth, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you again for this opportunity, but also for the great work that your organization is doing in bringing us together.
Thanks for listening to Conversations With. We hope you enjoyed it. Please visit our website at africagrantmakers.org and join our mailing list.